So, welcome, George.
Thank you. Welcome to Gaijin, guys.
Yeah, thanks for having us. It's a pleasure to be here. I would say cheers.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers. Cheers. Santé.
Hey, boys. Cheers.
Cheers. So tell us. So you opened Gaijin a year ago, like short before the pandemic started. How is it to open a restaurant during this time and run it also?
I mean, it's been a very challenging year,
Yeah.
but at the same time, we've been very fortunate because, we opened in an unfortunate time, but the city has embraced us really, really, really well, and so we're very thankful about that. And when we started, it was, I think, mid-December when we took the keys of the location, and that's when the news about the pandemic started flowing around in the media. And I said to Dan, do you think this is going to be a big issue? And
I was like, I think so.
And he's like, 1 year later.
and he's, I think so. And then right when we opened our first day, that's when it started spreading outside of China.
Damn.
And we were not prepared for what was about to happen a month and a half later.
But you would never guess it. It would be like, oh yeah, it's a flu, and you think like, oh yeah, it's gonna be maybe in Asia, maybe it comes over, maybe the States. But you would never think that it will turn the world upside down.
No chance. We were preparing for the worst.
Yeah.
We never expected that a year down the line we would still be in a lockdown situation and that the world would be affected to this extent by this. But even towards the end of December in 2019, we approached our insurance company and we said to them, do you guys offer insurance against pandemics? And they said, we do, but not now.
Shit.
Yeah.
All right.
And so we were trying to protect ourselves from whatever would come. But we never expected this.
I think nobody expected it to be like it is right now. A year later, I mean, that's crazy.
Yeah.
We're still living under these circumstances. It's tough.
We did our best to adjust to the new situation.
Yeah, what can you do else?
I mean, I always feel like us having the takeaway and to have all these options now, it's, we're like, at one point we're like a victim of circumstance, but at the other side, we're also lucky because of the circumstances. Because let's say had the insurance policy worked out, we would have done what most restaurants in Zurich probably would have done.
Yeah, completely close.
We just completely close, and then we just kind of sit around and wait for this thing to end. And because we didn't have that option, we're a startup that's very scrappy. So George is naturally very anxious. So he was 2 weeks into the lockdown. He's like, hey, Dan, are we going to do something? I was like, no, there's a virus outside. I'm going to stay at home.
That was in the beginning,
Yeah. And then a week later, I was like, okay, well, let's see what we can do to adjust using some things that, featuring menu items that we have, and how do we turn it into like a good takeaway option. So slowly we started adjusting. Like if we didn't need to do anything, then we probably wouldn't have done anything.
Yeah.
But we had to. So, I think the city started knowing. We had, after the first lockdown, a lot of guests that came in, they came to the restaurant because they liked the offerings that we had on Uber. So it was really funny, like, someone would come in and spend like 150 francs based on the fact that they really liked a chicken burger that we had. Like,
that's good.
It's good promo,
it's really helped the restaurant out.
What was imperative for us at the time during the first lockdown is, first of all, I cannot stay at home. Doing nothing. It's a killer for me. So I said to Dan, we need to find a way to reopen the restaurant. We need to find a way to put the word out there that we're doing takeaway. We were a very new restaurant at the time. And we had quite a lot of publicity in the opening in the first month, but definitely not enough to be known in the city of Zurich.
No, definitely not.
So we needed to find a way to keep the momentum going and to keep the word spreading. Hey guys, there's a new place in town. Come give it a try. And so that's how we took the situation. It's like, okay, let's start doing takeaway. Let's try and get some people to taste the food and write about it if they like it, if they don't like it, and keep the word spreading.
Yeah.
And that's how we dealt with it. And we've been very, very fortunate. I mean, there's been ups and there's been downs, like in any other situation. And especially for a new restaurant such as ourselves, we had to learn the hard way. You hit the wall sometimes a bit too hard, but you get yourself up and you adapt, and hopefully people are going to enjoy what you're offering.
Did it hurt though when you had to do that with the delivery? I mean, it was never something that you wanted to do.
Oh, I thought this was when it. I thought you were saying, did it hurt when I fell from heaven?
It's so cheesy all the time.
Never gets old.
Yes, it hurt, Dennis.
It definitely did.
I mean, we fell together, remember? The two angels here.
Both from a business perspective and from, like, I don't like takeaway.
Yeah, I get that.
I know because the food quality is never what it could really be.
No,
I agree.
The moment you put things in a box and they're hot, they start steaming, the quality disappears within the first 5 minutes. And knowing that we live in a country where it's fairly cold, and sometimes delivery times can be quite lengthy, the food, when it arrives to the customer, will never be what it could be.
Very true.
I mean, well, like, let's say if when the restaurant was open, if food would stay on the pass, so like pass is where all the food is before it gets brought to the tables. So when the food stays on the pass for longer than a minute, I start getting red and I start getting angry because I'm saying, like, why is this food still here? This needs to go out to the guests. I want the food for the guests to be eaten the moment that it's prepared, because that energy that transfers, it's different, right? Like, you get it as fresh as possible. When you're sitting here and then the kitchen is 2 meters away, you know that you're getting the freshest possible dish you can possibly get. And let's say for takeaway and delivery, you know that dish is going to be sitting there for like 35, sometimes 1 hour. Who knows what will happen in between this whole thing. So and we don't get the chance to interact with the guest in the same sort of way.
I think it's pretty cool that that you kind of had like a second reopening, basically, because like many newspapers covered you guys during lockdown. They tried your food, even if it's delivery or pickup, and then the people read it again and thought like, oh yeah, now we have to try this one. And I was like so hyped to try it in the restaurant then, and I was not disappointed. It was
that's good to hear. But that's exactly
it's
it.
like
I
a
mean,
second
we've been
reopening,
really fortunate. We've received a lot of media attention. Thankfully, so far, it has been positive. And seems like people enjoy their experience when they come here or when they order at home. So, it's a shitty situation to be in for everybody, but we can't complain too much.
That's good.
2020, like, you know, we keep thinking, I think at the end of like December 31st or like in January, like we have a lot of these moments of reflection, right? And then we'll sit down, we talk with each other, and like, you know, 2020, yes, it's been an awful year really for a lot of people that's passed away and for the world and for the whole greater economy. But like, if you look at Gaijin as a microcosm, we have been very, very fortunate for all the support that we have received from the neighborhood. I mean, Philip from Emilio's, it's a great guest of ours. And like from the day that we opened, already a lot of the chefs, a lot of the restaurateurs in the area, they've all been wanting to come by and try it out. And they tell their friends. And that's very rare for other restaurateurs to tell their friends that, hey, you have to come and try out this place. So we've been nothing but lucky in a very unfortunate year for the whole world.
Well, let's start from scratch. Where did you guys met?
All right. So I had another shop, which was called Coffee Shack, not too far away from here, and about maybe 3 years ago, I think, Freddie, another friend of ours, he was delivering desserts to my shop.
Yeah.
And he said to me, he's like, you have a pretty big kitchen there. It's like, do you use it? I said, not really. He's like, I have a friend. We're trying to do a pop-up together. And I think the space would work really well here. And so I said to him, I was like, sure, like bring him over, have him cook for us, and we take it from there. And so they came and they explained to me what their idea was for the concept. And Dan came in and he cooked for me and my mom. So my mom happened to be there that time. And we tried the food and it just...
I had shorter hair back then. Yeah.
Well, You were also thinner.
Yeah.
No, but don't worry, I was also thinner.
Yeah, the hair brings the weight. It's unfortunate.
It's the Corona diet. It's the Corona diet.
Yeah.
No, but the food just hit every note. It's like it was not pretentious, which is something that I don't like. It was honest, and you could see everything that you're eating and taste everything that you can see. And that was important for me.
What did you have to cook for a Greek mother? Do you like?
He
You
did
wanted the approval?
yakitori, so he did basically meat on skewers.
Yeah.
She's the approval. She was like, "You're
Oh,
She's
my
the-
mom, yeah, she is like,
She's
to
the
be honest,
one.
I'm not a chef, but I grew up eating good food.
yeah."
So I want to think that I know what good food tastes like or
Yeah.
is supposed to
Yeah.
taste like. And when I tasted it, I said, okay, this is something that would work.
Yeah.
Nice.
I mean, we sort of like, I think with the approach of like when we first had the pop up, the idea has always been, okay, how can we do something that translates really to every culture? And I know I wanted to do something Asian, something Japanese, but the idea was, okay, well, sushi is not for everybody. Raw fish is not for everybody. Vegetarian food is delicious, but it's not for everybody.
Yeah.
But the one thing that sort of works with almost every culture is when you put meat on fire.
Yeah.
Like
Okay,
it
fair.
translates. I mean, I think it brings everyone sort of back to like a backyard barbecue or like you know, a time when they go camping, or like it invokes a lot of those kind of memories.
Sure.
And then when you have it, like it's something that you crave, right? Fire and meat
Yeah.
and smoke. So we went along that and we said, okay, well, why don't we use Swiss ingredients, and then we apply Japanese technique and sensibility and like sort of a lot of bold Asian flavors onto that.
Yeah. But our focus was never to say that we're a puristic Japanese restaurant.
No,
right?
no.
It's like far from it.
Yeah.
We have some Japanese influence in some of the flavor profiles and in some of the techniques that Dan uses in the kitchen, but by no means do we consider ourselves to be a Japanese restaurant.
Yeah.
Do you like when people label you? Basically, is it like, oh, it's a Japanese restaurant, or do you just
We
say
don't
like
mind.
It's I would say it's Japanese fusion, or like you can say fusion.
So the point of I think the restaurant being called Gaijin, it is a very specific reason why we named it, because when we had the pop-up at Coffee Shack before, the question that I will get from every guest whenever I go talk to the tables is, the food is delicious, are you Japanese? And you know, but I'm Chinese Canadian. My parents are from China. I lived in Canada my whole life. The food that I cook is a representation of my background and how I grew up.
Yeah.
And it just so happens that I really like eating Japanese bar food. So we named the restaurant Gaijin because George is not Swiss, I'm not Japanese or Swiss, and like
I'm clearly not Japanese.
you're clearly not Japanese.
Which, by the way, I had a customer ask me, "Where in Japan are you from?"
No way. Yes. Oh my lord.
The
If you're
uncool
watching-
part.
Yeah, I don't think I look Japanese at all, but yeah, I'm not Japanese. No.
Yeah, so I mean, so that's the thing. Like, so Gaijin means foreigner or outsider in Japanese. It's actually a negative term in Japan for foreigners. And we always sort of said to ourselves, well, even though it's a term that is seen as negative, why couldn't we bring sort of a positive or positive spin to it? And so, we're not Japanese. Our staff, a lot of them are Italian, Hungarian, German, English.
Yeah.
And so we're also, a lot of us are foreigners. So we just thought it's sort of a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but it's a way to sort of explain who we are without us giving you a 10-minute conversation about why we're not a traditional Japanese restaurant.
The first time I heard about the name Gaijin was obviously from the movie Tokyo Drift.
Of course.
So I thought,
of course,
the same we had
the first time, like Dennis told me, hey, there is just around the corner they're opening. There is a restaurant opening called Gaijin. I thought, like, is this something from Tokyo Drift? Or
it's a very thematic restaurant.
No, a friend of ours,
and George is the
Paul Walker. Paul Walker.
A friend of ours who is Japanese. When she came here the first time, so she's like, "How can you call yourselves Gaijin? That's so bad." It's like if you were in Japan.
That's what I heard.
It's also in a movie. It's a bad name. So,
apparently, Gaijin is like when you are at the outsider or so.
Yeah.
So, but
we were so my father was very against the name in the beginning.
Okay.
He said that, hey, this is like, you should not call the restaurant something like this because like the name Gaijin, like the characters for it, it's Chinese, like Chinese Japanese in origin.
Yeah.
And these two words together, it's not like a positive thing.
Yes.
And I said, Dad, just do it. Just write those. So our logo, it's actually my father that wrote the Chinese or Japanese calligraphy for it. And it was a very long conversation that I had to have with him, back and forth on, we want to name the restaurant this, Dad, just write it for us.
Okay, I mean, we all know Japanese people are, how can I say, it's really special people. They're like really like, how can I describe it best?
I don't know.
I mean, they have rules for everything.
Yeah. Naming is really
cool
important.
Really cool people. Everything is important. Every step you do. I remember I was once in Tokyo, and we had this Japanese barbecue, and I put my sticks in my bowl, pointing at my friend, and he looked at me. He's like,
"You can't do that.
You can't do that." I was like, "What again? I made already 20 mistakes when I came in the restaurant." And he was like, "When you point your sticks at someone, it means that you wish them the death." I was like, "This is pretty far-fetched, because of my sticks, chopsticks." And he was like, "Yeah, but that's the rules." But let's say when we have tourists again, Japanese tourists come by, and they see the restaurant. Do you think they feel like?
I don't think they would come in.
They would not come in. Do you think?
But again.
It might, because of our Google reviews being very good.
Sure.
Fair enough.
It's funny.
It comes down to how traditional you want to be. But I think that we live in a world where everything is becoming more globalized and everything. So,
but I think this was the one country that I will never forget. Tokyo was, Japan, but I was only in Tokyo, and it was just like surreal, I would say. And the best thing is the people are so amazing.
Courteous, extremely courteous, well-mannered.
So great. And I love the fact that when I ask about the direction, and I don't really speak English that well, some of them, and even though they didn't know, they still try to help. They were like, I'm not letting this dude not say anything. They were just like showing me direction. I was like, sure, whatever.
It's really it's a very amazing culture.
It's impressive culture, absolutely. But you've been in the financial service before Coffee Shack, right?
Correct.
What was the point? When was the point where you were like, yeah, fuck all that, I'm going
I hated
into
my
coffee
life
now.
then. So
you hated it, okay.
It was not a very difficult decision. It's just that getting to the point where I realized was like, I don't want to do this anymore, was the hard part, was the journey. But once I made the decision to leave that industry and to start something of my own in hospitality, I mean, my background is inherently in hospitality. I grew up in hospitality. I studied business administration and hospitality management. I started my career in hospitality, so I worked for Mövenpick initially. But then, as a young kid that was quite ambitious, I wanted to obviously make a lot more money, so I decided to change industries and went into finance or financial services. But then I quickly realized that, you know, money's not everything. Mental health and personal happiness should matter as well. And that's when I made the choice to leave that industry.
So you went into the one industry where there's bad mental health and you don't make very much money.
Yes and no. But the thing is, like, I realized that if you enjoy what you're doing, so I'm sure there's a lot of people in financial services, in finance, that love it. And they enjoy what they do, and then they're happy with their lives. I didn't, so I wasn't happy. Hospitality is like, my mom said to me, is like, you have to be crazy. I would never wish it even to my worst enemy to be the owner of a restaurant or a coffee shop, because it's an extremely rough and demanding industry. But if you enjoy what you're doing, then you're happy. It doesn't matter.
I like that.
Fully agree.
Yeah.
How do you actually handle like this multicultural background of all the employees?
That's easy.
I mean,
That's
you
easy.
mentioned everyone is from a different country.
They are.
And I think
but
this is actually really cool that then the name is Gaijin. It's like, it fits perfectly.
we're like-minded people.
Yeah.
So we all think the same way. We all act the same way. So when we interview someone for a job, or the first thing that we pay attention to is like, would they fit in our environment, in our culture, and the way we approach business? And if they do, then it's a very easy decision. And everybody that works with us or for us is like-minded. The same with the suppliers. We often choose suppliers because of their approach to business, and that's why we work with Dr. Gabs, because we love them. We love how they do business, and we love how they compromise so much just to work with us.
Yeah.
I mean, what George and I always talked about in the beginning of everything was like, you know, we want this place to feel like our home. We want Gaijin, when people walk into Gaijin, we want them to feel like their family when they walk in. And I feel like the first step of that is to have the staff not be just your employees, but we treat the employees as if they're family. And if they can feel sort of like that warmth or that care from us, then maybe that can translate to how they approach the guest as well. It's probably not the same for every hospitality group, but for us, we're a little company. We're trying to build up, and we want to hopefully have this sort of experience always translate from the guests, from the staff, us to the staff, and from the staff to the guests.
Do you know Simon Sinek, the guy who created the Golden Circle? He's a consultant for like big enterprises and companies. So that's exactly what he's teaching. So you, for example, when a CEO is saying, "Yeah, I care all about my people," and you have like 1,000 people working for you, it's simply not possible that you care for all the people. But what you can do is like you care for the people just under you, for example, like your I don't know, head or whatever, down. And then you give them the philosophy you have, and they're gonna
do the same with their stuff.
Yeah, exactly. They're gonna do the same with their stuff, and that's basically what you guys are doing. So that's.
I mean, we want to the best of our abilities for sure.
I mean, we're a very small team still, so we have direct contact with all our staff almost on a daily basis. But the idea is that, you know, as we grow as a company, we want them to grow with us.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Both
that's so
skills-wise, but also financially.
That's so nice.
Yeah, you know, I make the jokes to the staff sometimes. I said, you know, it'll be really fucked up if George and I at one point would be driving Lamborghinis, and then they would have troubles finding to pay money for their rent. Like, if we are building our success off exploiting our staff, then we are not only are we not doing right by the staff, but as human beings, we're not doing our job to sort of have a positive sphere of influence for the people around us. Like, we don't, as people, you know, we don't get a chance to sort of have effects or influence into a lot of people around us. Maybe each one of us have like 2 or 3 best friends and stuff like that, right? But if we have the ability to sort of bring a positive influence to, like, let's say right now we have 10 members in our staff. If we have that positive influence to that 10 members, and then later on if this place keeps growing, and then if we are able to always have like a positive influence to the other people, then for me that matters as much as the business being successful. Is that we are able to, you know, have a positive effect on the other people in our lives.
We just try to help wherever we can.
That's so nice.
Yeah, you're like a family.
Yeah.
I mean, 10.
That's not to say though
Not a small family.
that if we need to be strict and assholes, we will.
I mean,
goes-
it's
goes
a
both
family.
ways.
It goes both ways, right? You don't, just because it's a family, it does not mean we, you know, we're light on the people just because they. At the end of the day, we have a focus, and then the whole team should be approaching that focus altogether.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Let's say mean to the customer, or is it something else that you really don't like?
I don't think our staff was ever mean
No.
to a customer, and if they were, then it was justified, because that's what we've also said to them. It's like, if you feel that a customer is disrespecting you or is making you feel uncomfortable in any way, you're more than welcome to tell them to leave. It's like, we understand our customers are our bread and butter, but we're still people, and we're still we still expect to be respected. But
I think overall, like, I mean, like, Switzerland's been, it's such a courteous place.
Yeah.
And then everyone's very, very, like, they really watch what they say before they say it.
That's
kind of
true,
thing.
that's true.
And, like, we don't ever feel like that, you know, our customers are, like, just because, you know that saying, cash is king? I never get that feeling, just because I'm paying you for, you know, your services, I am king today, and then you are like trash kind of thing. That never happens. It's been very positive for the restaurant.
I mean, it definitely happens. Let's say that. I think it's cool that it didn't happen here yet.
Knock on wood.
Knock on wood. Yeah.
I'm sure
but
it will.
I think I can honestly say I'm not mean to stuff because I don't see any reason. I mean, it's an underpaid job and it's a crazy job. It's like you work your ass off. You smile the whole time. You just even if you have a bad day, you smile. You go back to the kitchen. They see that you're not doing well, but you still behave because you want to represent the restaurant. And I think it says a lot about your character when you treat the staff like bullshit as a customer. Even though, yes, customer is king, but no, it's not always that.
I think respect is king.
yes,
Respect is king.
but I would say that
I think the respect goes both ways.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I mean, I don't want that you spit in my food.
No.
So, you know.
No. That's people. It's not a thing that I
Sure.
that's not a thing that people do in restaurants.
Sure, it's not. I'm pretty sure that like TGI Fridays or something that happened.
But I think it also comes down to the situation. So I say, if a customer is being unreasonable, and is just being a dick for no reason, then I wouldn't expect my staff to treat him phenomenally either. But if a customer has, concrete feedback and is correct about the situation where we were in the wrong, then this is feedback that we welcome the most.
Yes.
Because this is the only way for us to actually improve. And that's why we always appreciate feedback that's,
I mean, if we can be just a little bit better than the day before, then I think that's what we always aim for, right? We just do a little bit better every day. If we can if we can take the feedback and we can do this dish a little bit better, or we can serve the guests in a more efficient and more courteous sort of way, then we'll take that approach any day of the week. Like, I think George and I, we take a decent amount of criticism from the staff. The staff will tell us, hey, this should be done better. And I think for us, we don't have that approach, like, just because we're the bosses, what you're saying doesn't matter. We take everyone's opinions in, and then we think about, like, okay, if there's facts based on this, then we will do our best to make this a reality.
Yes.
Yeah. Or else, like, like, it's not a cult of personality here where anything that George and I says has to be the way that it goes. If there's a better way, then we will approach it in the better way for next time.
Okay, fair enough.
If you know, tell us about it.
Straight into the right now.
New restaurant opening 5th of April, probably.
Hopefully,
yes.
Let's say hopefully. No. It's a joint venture of sorts. My background after I left financial services was coffee, and I love coffee quite a lot. And that's where I met Mathieu and Emi, the owners of MAME. We were approached by them saying that they would like to do something with us. Nice. And we thought that would be a great opportunity, considering what's happening in the world. And that's how If You Know came up.
And do I elaborate on the food then, I guess, or
what kind of food will it?
Oh, comfort food.
So, but it's going to be only takeaway, I guess, or
initially.
Okay. I think right now, if we were to open, let's say for the early April, I don't think there's any other possibility.
Is there space for, like, hosting people?
Oh, yeah. It's a much bigger space than here.
The space is gorgeous.
Okay.
They picked a great location. The space is gorgeous. They've got.
But is there? So right now it's a coffee.
It's a coffee shop.
But it's a bicycle shop as well, or was. Ah, okay. I remember.
It's gone through a lot of evolutions.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when they started, it was half a coffee shop, half a bicycle shop.
Oh, really? Okay.
Then the bicycle shop became even smaller.
Yeah.
And now it's just a small warehouse that's not really visible from the interior. Okay. But the space inside, under normal circumstances, I think would have a capacity of, I don't know, maybe 70 people inside.
Oh, wow, that's big.
Yeah, it's a great space. It's got a lot of natural lighting.
Yeah.
We can't be happier.
No, for sure. And working with them, Mathieu and Emi, they do a phenomenal job anyway, as a standalone coffee shop. And they approached us and they said, hey guys, would you want to do the food concept for us?
Cool.
And that's how If You Know came about.
Can you tell us about the food concept?
Sure.
Yeah. I think our approach to, so what we kind of talked about is, we wanted to, first of all, the name. We didn't want the name to be something where it forces us into a certain idea.
Yes.
We want to start with something, but who knows what the evolution of a restaurant or a space can be.
Yeah.
So we said, I remember we had the discussion meetings and stuff, and we're like, oh, do we call it Sando? Do we name it something Japanese? Because Gaijin is like more or less a Japanese style concept, and MAME obviously has a Japanese sort of perfectionist influence because of Emi having being Japanese herself.
Yes.
So we came up with a lot of names, but then we settled on If You Know, because I think it's a good conversation starter. If you we always said, hey, have you heard of the new place? And then they're like, hey, what's the name?
I think more importantly, it comes down to the fact that we're not that serious people.
No.
So we take that approach to business quite a lot, to be honest.
Yeah.
And maybe we take some risks that are unnecessary every now and then, but we like to have fun with what we do, and I think that's a big part of what Gaijin, of why Gaijin has become what it has become. It's like we want everybody involved to have fun, And that's not just the customers. We want our staff to have fun.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have fun doing what you're doing, then you're going to end up like me 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So okay. So anyways, back to if you know, you know. What we wanted to do for the concept is to we wanted to have an Australian cafe approach.
Yeah.
And what that means is, so in Australia, what is very popular is these very big and grand cafes.
Okay.
Coffee is what brings you in because the coffee is amazing.
Yeah.
But you stay because there is bites to eat, there is food, and then there is booze, and it extends into, it's a cafe that eventually becomes an evening concept that you would want to go to if you know in the evening, just because the space is cool, the vibe is good, and you just want to stay and have a glass of wine maybe, and then have a great coffee afterwards. So we wanted to take that approach, and I think the first evolution of if you know is to do really good homemade sandwiches. We wanted to give people the possibility of getting food that's tasty, that would be almost impossible for them to make at home. A lot of the approach that George and I always take to things is this something that I can make at home? If I can make it at home, I mean, not me, if George can make it at home.
Are you saying I can't cook?
like the idea is if people can make a dish at home, then what's the point of us as a restaurant existing? You can just make the same dishes at home.
Yes.
If I can just serve you peanut butter and if you are buying peanut butter and jelly sandwiches from Gaijin, then we don't need to exist.
Yeah.
So for if you know, what we wanted to do was to feature really great Swiss products, and then we do sandwiches and rice bowls and a multi-grain salad kind of thing with it. But the sandwich is the sort of the star of the show. We have this really exciting dish that we wanted to do, the porchetta sandwich. So porchetta in traditional Italian ideas is you take a whole pig or half a pig and you debone the whole thing and you roll it together and you do a big pig roast. So we're doing a pork belly only porchetta, and then the skin will be super crispy, and then we make our own sort of like a cross between a salsa verde and a chimichurri,
sliced in front of the customer,
and we cut it in front of the guest.
Yeah.
You see the crispy skin shattering in front of the guest.
Oh my God.
And then there's no bullshit. Like, the very important thing for us is for all the food that we do, there's no bullshit to it.
Yeah.
Right?
You can see what you eat. It's it's right in front of you.
Yeah.
It's going to be assembled in front of you. The pork belly, we want it to be the, let's say, the item, the highlight of the menu, but that doesn't mean that the rest of the items are going to be mediocre. Like, I love going to the US whenever I can. I've always loved meatball sandwiches, and you can't find that here.
Who doesn't?
So I said to Dan, dude, make me a meatball sub.
Yeah. So there's in New York there's a great spot. Unfortunately it's closed now.
Meatball shop.
The meatball shop.
In Brooklyn.
You know this.
I've been there. Yeah.
Oh man.
I've been there.
Yeah. And it's such a simple concept.
Yeah.
But when you have something simple, it needs to be delicious, right? There's nothing for you to hide around. It's called the meatball shop. So we took sort of this idea of like this, not strictly Italian, but like American Italian concept of a meatball. Yeah. We make our own sugo. The meatball, of course, we make it in-house.
I like that you call it sugo. It's like way too many people like tomato sauce.
It's sugo. It's sugo.
Thank you.
It's a classic Italian sugo with a few of my touches inside.
Okay. Meatball with luma beef.
Yeah. So it's going to be a blend of luma short rib, a little bit of entrecote inside as well, and then of course pork belly, because I look like pork belly because I love pork belly. So we have a lot of sort of like just things that people want to crave.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
not to say there will be vegan options and vegetarian options as well.
Yeah.
So we're not
not super like what's the term? Like we're not like just only one direction.
Yeah.
We want to be able to feature great fish and also to be able to have like delicious vegan. I mean, when we did the tasting for the menu, the vegan dish was like one of the ones that stuck out the most to people, which is very cool. I'm very excited for that.
Okay, so the thing you mentioned, I mean, it's Australian, but I mean, we backpacked there. You know?
It's the principle.
But
everybody calls them
that's
the
like
Australian coffee shops.
So you go in, have a coffee, and then you just like stay with your buddies, and you think like, oh, let's eat something. I'm like craving something, and then you drink like in the evening. Like this is
So yeah,
okay.
Pretty much we're gonna.
Cool,
I mean,
like some good music, some good hip hop. That's like all about that. Okay.
correct. In the we're gonna start with doing lunch, and then eventually the idea is that it evolves on a
Organic basis.
yeah, and that eventually we will do dinner with some nice, perhaps natural wines, some cocktails, some nice beers. But that is going to be done step by step. Eventually, we also want to expand this into a proper brunch place for the weekends.
Oh, damn! Do you know
boozy
that-
brunch?
Boozy brunch.
No, I mean, isn't this something that is also missing in Switzerland?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I mean,
I know someone that has done that a couple of times.
Yeah, but
He's right here. No, that's part of it as well. We want to do brunch as well, which will obviously have alcohol included.
yes, that's good.
Do you guys know the restaurant in New York, Felix? It's
in
also-
Soho, right?
I think where is it? I think it's in Soho.
I don't remember. I've been there, but it's blurry.
Honestly, it's such a good brunch place because you get there. It's like you go, I don't know, 11, 12. You get food, and then at 2, 3, it turns like slowly into
A bar.
bar, club, restaurant, and then but you still can have dinner then later on. But at let's say at 8, 9, it's a fiesta there. Like
Popping.
it's the whole day. You go there, you
Yeah.
come for like for the breakfast, and you leave very drunk.
I was.
So-
I've been at Bagatelle.
Bagatelle's great.
Oh.
Bagatelle's great.
But do you think it's good? Because I was there
It's
and I was a bit.
expensive,
I was a
man.
bit. No,
Damn.
we didn't go there to eat. We just went there for the show. Because everybody was like, "Oh man, you have to go there once in your lifetime."
Yeah,
it's so,
yeah,
it's so
okay.
decadent.
I
It's
mean-
it's so not okay. Whatever happens, but
So I think we don't. To be fair, we don't exactly know right now what, if is going to look like 6 months to 12 months down the line. The approach that we take towards this project and generally business is we start with something, we listen to the customer, and we start adapting. If people are super happy from the get-go, then we start expanding on it relatively fast. And that's the approach we're going to take with that. We start with the lunch, see how we're doing, and
Sounds good.
potentially add the dinner with the natural wines, and then expand it into brunch.
I think this is really cool that you do that because I think Swiss people are. I mean, we covered it a couple of times. A bit scared. What can I say that? Yeah, a bit scared to try some new things. And I think the first question is from someone when you mention like, oh yeah, I'm trying this. Like, are you sure that's something that's like
exactly
good for the future, or like you wouldn't do something else? It's always the same thing. But
Yeah,
when
just do
something
it.
pops up, it's just like it's a hype.
Yeah.
It's trendy. Everybody wants to go there, and then everything else comes like after that. But also, I think it's.
I mean,
it's amazing
I
that you tried
don't
it.
know if the Swiss are actually afraid to try out stuff. We haven't experienced that here.
They give the perception. They give the perception that they like to play it safe. But like, let's say when we have omakase. So we offer the omakase menu in the restaurant for like for 85 francs, and it's not a very expensive menu. But of course
90.
it's
90.
It's 90. Sorry. They charged me 85 because I own the place. but so like
Yeah,
when we do these menus,
people have no idea what they're getting, and they're still ordering it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Same when we did the pop-up with
The Italian brothers, yeah.
with the Italian brothers, so Francesco and
Giuseppe.
Giuseppe. It's like people just made a reservation knowing they would have to pay a premium
That was
without
a
having
lot.
any idea what they would eat.
Or
The
booked
only thing
2
they could
weeks
tell
out.
us is if they had an allergy.
No.
And that was it. Yet that week was...
You think when people just hear the word pop-up, it's just like, oh yeah, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, pop-up.
Yeah,
I think people like the exclusivity
Yeah.
of having a pop-up.
That's true.
And we, that's one thing I think we feared a little bit when we first opened. Is like, okay, so this is not Nightmark anymore. This is not a pop-up the way the Nightmark used to be.
Yeah.
Maybe we don't get the same sort of hype and the same sort of enthusiasm from the guests when they come in.
Yeah.
But what we realized once we opened was how many guests remembered the Nightmark pop-up.
And still came.
And then they said, thank God you guys have a place now because we really miss the pop-up. So
cool.
The customer loyalty in Switzerland,
It's
I feel
phenomenal.
like is like no other.
Yeah.
Is like no other.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
No, really. Like during Nightmark, which was a pop-up that lasted 3 months.
Where was it exactly?
That was in 2018.
No, where?
Müllerstraße. So right here.
Yeah.
It was my place. My coffee shop was called Coffee Shack.
Yeah.
I've sold it since, but it was there. Tiny place, so inside was about 20 seats. 25.
You know where Don Leone is?
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
2 minutes walk from Don Leone.
Yeah.
Okay. Müllerstraße. Yeah.
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 Okay.
And
I know where it
so
is.
during those 3 months, we had the same people come 3 or 4 times, which was an indication to us that
It's not just a hype thing.
Yeah, if you're coming 3-4 times in a period of 3 months,
It's
then-
good.
No. It's 2 or 3. It was 3 or 4 times in the span of like 2 weeks.
that as well.
Yeah, like we had like what was really funny is like I remember we had this family. They came for dinner and they loved the dinner, and then we told them, oh yeah, we also do a brunch menu, and the brunch menu is different. And then they looked at the brunch menu, and then lo and behold, 10 hours later, they were the
They came for
first
brunch.
one
No way.
for
Yeah.
brunch.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I joked with them after. I was like, I saw you today more than I've seen my wife this whole week.
But that's a good sign. So you're
Yeah.
doing everything correct.
What
So-
was brunch? What was on the menu?
Oh,
It's very American.
like the Fat Elvis waffles, chicken and waffles.
No
We
brainer.
had an egg what was
We
it?
had a sandwich called
the egg
Alvin's Egg Slut. So it was named after Chef Alvin in California that started this whole egg sandwich craze in America. So I met Alvin and Danielle when he came for dinner once, and then we talked, and I was like, I would love to be able to do your sandwich one day, kind of thing.
Yes.
And then so anyway, we had a sandwich that was like an homage to Egg Slut in LA, and then it was just I don't know.
Dude,
I think
just-
it was fat kids food.
Yeah.
is really what it was. Drunk. If you were drunk from Nightmark the day before, the Nightmark brunch was a good hangover for the night before.
That's
No, but that's the thing. Is like whatever is on the menu is stuff that we love to eat
yes.
ourselves. It's like
Comfort.
so basically, yeah. Nothing goes on the menu unless we
We
both
like
say
eating. Yeah, we like eating it.
Fair
we
enough.
like eating it.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah. Thanks so much for hanging out
Yeah.
with us.
Mm.
It was a pleasure.
Thank you for coming by.
Yeah.
Wish you all the best.
For
Yeah.
If you know, you know.
And we will be there for sure, and we're gonna taste your meatball sandwich.
Yes, and
we're gonna try it.
To all the people who are watching this, please support these 2 amazing guys and their
Yes.
stuff. Gaijin Izakaya here at Stauffacher.
In Zurich.
Stop by if everything opens up. Otherwise, order them on Uber Eats and check it out on If You Know, You Know. Thank you very much. Appreciate
Thank you,
it.
boys. Thank
Ciao.
you. Thank you.
All right. Good talk.
Awesome.
Awesome, guys.